A lot of philosophy is theoretical, but Stoicism is a school of life. The goal of Stoicism is simple, showing you how you can live a good life. Back in ancient Greece, there were many trendy philosophies of life, and different philosophers would advertise their own. They were hustling in the streets of Athens, explaining how their school, and not others, would make you the happiest. Stoicism was one of these schools, founded about 2,500 years ago by Zeno of Citium, with the same purpose. If you ask anyone what Stoicism is now, they'll tell you it's something about hiding your emotions or being tough when something bad happens to you. That's actually false. A perfect Stoic, with a capital S, is in fact someone who feels joy all the time, someone who enjoys even the smallest things. It is about minimizing emotion, but just the negative ones. I'll explain how Stoics do that in the rest of this video. Stoicism changed and evolved through time, as everything does, but there are main principles, and these are it. So there are things under your control and things outside of your control. Understand which is which and don't try to control what you can't. Now, this is a bit deeper than it looks at a first glance, so let's unpack that. For Stoics, the only things that are within your control are those inside you, so your feelings, your opinions, your thoughts, your reactions, and so on. Those are things you can change, so if you have to worry about changing something, let that be it. Everything else is not under your control, and the sooner you internalize that, the more at peace you'll be. For example, you get insulted. In this situation, Stoics would tell you that you can't control how someone else behaves. You can't control what that person says. What you can control is the way you react to that, the way you let it affect you. They just insulted you because they have problems in their life, or they insulted what they know about you, but not really you. Either way, what has been said has been said. Now it's up to you to react to it appropriately. Now, this sounds like a defeatist, sort of acceptant view of the world. You might be thinking, if everyone was a Stoic, no one would step up to make the world better. Well, some of the most influential people in the world at their time were Stoics, and arguably gave a lot to society. I'm talking about people like Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, for example, and philosopher Seneca. That's because accepting that there are things you can't control is an internal affair. Of course, you should try to make the world a better place, and this is in fact another principle I'll talk about later, but you should accept that no matter how hard you try, the only things you truly have control over are your thoughts and feelings. In fact, not only you don't have control over the rest, Stoics say you don't have the rest. Full stop. And this leads well to the next principle. Desire what you already have, and know that you can lose it all at any time. Now, most people, us included, are hedonists. They are constantly looking for the next thing, buying this gadget, trinket, or upgrading their lifestyle. In short, they are slaves to pleasure. They only desire what they don't have. Stoics turn this around, saying, well, desire seems unescapable, so let's desire what we already have. Let me explain that. For most people, when they buy something, that thing immediately loses its emotional value. You used to want it so much, and you dreamed about it, and then when you got it, well, that was it. End of the honeymoon. Now, it's just a part of your life. That doesn't have to be the case. Your phone might be a bit old, but Stoics say, imagine if you didn't have that phone. Imagine if you didn't have your house or your clothes or your car. If you didn't have them, you would desire them. So, Stoics advocate for developing an appreciation for what you already have, knowing that if you didn't, you would probably desire those things just as much as you are desiring something you don't have right now. And when I talk about things, Stoics mean people too. Your family, your friends. Sure, sometimes they're a pain, but you'd want them if they weren't with you. This principle is a bit tricky because this type of desire might make you cling to what or who you have really dearly. You would bind yourself to them, and if you were ever to lose one of those things, you would give in to despair. The second part of this principle says, know that you can lose everything at any time. This is mainly because you don't control these things. One day your phone might break, or you may lose it. One day your friend might move to another country. So precisely because what you have is so temporary, you should appreciate and desire it, but all while knowing that because you can't control these things, you might lose them. We'll talk about how Stoics develop this skill in the last part of the video. The last big Stoic principle is that you must do the work of a human being. This is the vaguest of the three, but it's actually simple to explain. The work of a knife is to cut. The work of a light is to illuminate. So, what is the work of a human being? Well, this is where Stoicism gets a bit more philosophical, and I think this is the part that's most open to your own interpretation. Stoics think that the work of a human being is to reason, because it's what we can do best uniquely as a species. And because we can reason, then we should use this reason to find ways to do the most good for humanity, basically helping others. Whatever you think the work of a human being is, having that target is a key element of Stoicism. So, those were the three most important Stoic principles. They all relate to one another and each accomplishes something. By understanding what we can control and what we can't, we let go of a lot of the worry that follows us around. By appreciating what we have, we enjoy our current status and we are freed from wanting more and more. Remembering that we can lose everything is a powerful reminder to experience joy with what you have every day. And by doing the work of a human being, we give purpose to our life. Now, if you're thinking, is it even possible to attain this status of perpetual happiness and purposefulness? Well, no, it isn't, and you're absolutely right in thinking that. Nobody is this perfect. These are principles, targets to strive towards. Even the most notable Stoics knew that perfect Stoicism was unattainable. But we can get closer, and a way to get closer is by following a series of small exercises, habits coming to you straight from ancient Greece and Rome. So Seneca advocated for keeping a daily Stoic journal to be written ideally before bed. In this journal, we mainly talk about how well we stuck to the principles during that day. So, did we concern ourselves with things outside of our control? Did we desire something new? And did we remember to enjoy what we already have? Did we do the work of a human being, whatever that means to us? Well, Stoics would ask themselves and answer these questions each evening in their journal. Becoming a Stoic is a journey, and while there is no perfect Stoic, keeping track of where one is in their journey will help them immensely. The last exercise is negative visualization. Stoics regularly imagine themselves not having the things they already have. For example, close your eyes for a second and imagine you didn't have your house, or your car, or shoes, computer. This exercise in visualizing yourself without these things will make you more appreciative of what you have, while at the same time mentally preparing you for if and when you will lose them. So, if you want to give Stoicism a try, keep these three principles in mind and try writing a daily Stoic journal, as well as, sometimes, imagining yourself without the things you already have. At worst, you'll have spent an hour or two of your time, and at best, you will have found a new philosophy by which to live your life. Alright, thank you for watching. As always in my videos, I invite the viewers to make things their own, to pick and choose and to adapt to their own circumstances. Now, Stoicism is 2,500 years old, and while I think it's still hugely relevant today, it's perfectly normal that someone might want to customize it. So, out of everything I said in this video, maybe you don't believe the dichotomy of control is valid for you, you don't think it will have any benefit for you, or you think it will lead you to not wanting to change things. That's something I hear from people. In that case, just ignore that and adopt the rest. Or if you are a religious person, for example, you can try to see if some aspects of Stoicism are compatible with your beliefs, and you can integrate them into your life. If you're not religious, but you feel the need for some foundational elements in your life, you can spend some time researching what you think the work of a human being should be and base your actions on that. I don't know though, I'm just giving ideas. Whatever the case, my introduction was very brief. I didn't want to swamp you with a sea of information. For example, there are more principles. There's one Stoic principle that is called memento mori, so remember that you'll die. And it's a principle by which you appreciate yourself and appreciate your body and your life even more because you have this constant reminder of death. But I kind of condensed all of the principles into 3 kind of more easily digestible principles, because these 3 principles that I talked about really kind of contain all of the other principles. So when I talk about desire things you already have, that kind of includes the memento mori. It kind of includes desiring your life. If you want to dive deeper, though, there is one book I highly recommend, and that's A Guide to the Good Life by William Irvine. It's the book that introduced me to the idea of Stoicism and the basis for this video. Pretty much everything I talk about in this video, you can find in that book and a lot more. I'll link to it in the description below. Well, see you next time.